What is up, guys? My name is MipZ and welcome back for yet another League of Legends video. So today we're actually playing a champ that I've really been looking forward to. This is a really fun one, especially because personally I feel like this is a champ that has kind of a different twist than most others, and that's because he can feel very different from game to game. He can kind of feel different roles in a sense. I'll talk more about what I specifically mean with that as we get into to talking about it, but yeah, it's a really fun champion, and this champion was actually requested by a couple of our subscribers: MOBA Gaming, Kauthur, Hanik, Alice Lethlier, I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, and Kate. Thank you guys so much for requesting this video. So today we are of course playing Sylas, and Sylas is honestly he's really freaking fun. I'm not even gonna lie, he's a lot of fun. The reason why this champion can feel pretty, like as we talked about, pretty different from game to game is because of his ult. His ult allows him to steal other champions' ults. So in one game you might take Alistar's ult and become super tanky, or Malphite's ult and smash into people, or maybe even just I don't know, grab a Vicar ult and one-shot someone. Yeah, that's also a way to go. But yeah, he can in that way be like kind of feel different roles, or adapt to different situations and different games very in a very cool fashion. But yeah, as always, we're gonna start off with talking about who this champion is for. Then we're gonna go a little bit into to how the different spells work, what they can do, and then we're gonna talk about the combos, how you want to combine these spells. And lastly, we're going to talk about the different phases of the game, how you want to play this champion, and yeah, your overall objective in the different stages of the game. So first of all, let's talk about who this champion is for. Well, personally, it's a champ that I probably wouldn't recommend for somebody who's brand new to the game, haven't played before, and be like, I want to play Sylas. The reason for this is, as we kind of talked about before, is due to the fact that his ult allows him to steal other champions' ults, and if you don't know other champions' ults, then your ult kind of does nothing. I don't know if that kind of makes sense for you guys. So yeah, it's kind of important that that you know all the other champs, or at least a good portion of them, before Sylas really makes sense for you to play. I'm not saying don't do it at all. If this is the champ you want to play in order to play the game, of course, to go for it by any means. It's just my opinion. If you really want to perform well on him, then actually like being a mediocre or average player, or at least having a good chunk of knowledge about the game, is gonna make the difference on this champion, because that's really, yeah, it's really what differs, or it's gonna allow you to take good choices. But yeah, that's kind of all I have to say about who this champion is for. I would say if you're a mediocre player, go for it. He's a lot of fun, and if you're very experienced, you're gonna have a lot of fun as well, because he, like this champ, as I say, he has so many different options and ways to play. This is going to be a terrible gank for me. I actually didn't have my E ready, so that's my fault. Oh, he's going to take a chunk of damage. All right, so by the way, for those of you who are new here, the purpose of these games are not to show you guys perfect gameplay in any means. I'm just going to try and perform somewhat decently and it's kind of illustrate the champion, inspire you guys to play this champ if it's something you've been thinking about, like kind of making him easy for you to understand all the aspects of him, and allowing you, or giving you the tools to master this champion. And just to destroy a myth that's been going on my channel, then a lot of people is saying, well dude, are you not playing, this is a pre-recorded game. It's actually not. My mouse is here. If I click, you can see it clicks over there. It's just because that, like, I flip my camera and post edit, so I look at the game and not out the screen. I hope that kind of makes sense. Anyway, all that aside, let's actually talk about the champion. So as I said, we're going to talk a little bit about the abilities and how they work. And we're going to start off with the passive ability. Of course, this is the ability that most people kind of skip over and don't know what can do. That's kind of a typical thing, I guess, on champions. The people just don't read the passive because you can't click it. I don't know. I've seen a tendency for a lot of people, at least they don't know the passives of different champions. So we're gonna go over the passive first, and then we're gonna go through these spells in the usual order: Q, W, E, and R. Let's just back off here and get started with the very first ability. And this is gonna put off the or make the foundation for actually mastering the champion and learning how the different spells interact with one another. So yeah, the first one, your passive, is called Petricide Burst. I actually don't know what Petricide means. I'm sorry, but it sounds pretty cool. And what this thing can do is it's actually very simple. It's every time Sylas casts one of his abilities, Q, W, E, or R, then he gets a stack of this Petricide Burst. What this thing then does is that the next auto attack that Sylas throws out there or attacks with deals an extra chunk of damage. It deals about 130% of his usual damage. And then it deals an AoE damage to anything around that target as well for about 40% of his normal damage. So this is super cool. It's a way of both dealing some AoE and dealing some extra damage. All these stacks are also attacking with 80% attack speed, meaning that you attack faster. And the way this kind of works is also that you can have 3 of these Petricide Burst stacks ready at a time. You can see right now we have 2. So if I go in here and I just auto attack this, okay, yeah, it's kind of too late now. I'm gonna flash out that so we don't just fail. I wanted to show something off there, but it completely failed and I don't want to die. And don't ever, like, this was not to show a good play. It was actually just to illustrate the ability, but that kind of failed. So we'll do it when it makes more sense. So now we're kind of a flash down. Anyway, that's kind of all this thing can do. You can stack up 3 of your Petricide Bursts. Ooh, this might be risky. Yep. You know what? I should have stolen. Yeah, it would make sense. I was actually screwed. I should have outplayed this this snare or stun, actually. I shouldn't have allowed Elise to hit me. That was just a poor play by me. Doesn't really matter, that aside. I'm actually also building. We need this. Luckily, we need these same items. Let's go for... I think we're going to get ourselves an extra healing potion just for now. Alright. So, let's go down the lane and start roaming a little bit around. And we'll talk later about how I actually played the laning phase. Of course, this was not on purpose dying, but as I told you guys, the purpose is not to show perfect gameplay. So, Petricide Burst, we've basically covered that one now. Super simple. You're gonna have up to 3 stacks of this, meaning that your next 3 attacks are gonna have 80% attack speed, gonna deal 130% damage to any target or to the primary target, the target you're attacking, and about 40% damage to any target around. And as you guys can see, the animation looks like this. So yeah, that's kind of that spell or that passive. Our next ability, this time we're gonna see if we can actually dodge that one. Thank you. Our next ability is our Chain Lash, and Chain Lash is also a really fun ability. It's probably, I wouldn't say it's the most iconic spell, but it's like looking at the animation, this is one of the things that really makes Sylas appear really cool, like by animation. I did not see this. I'm sorry, dude. I'm just trying to explain this right now. He's gonna have to hang in there. Okay, so this is basically where Sylas takes these chains and he smashes them into the ground. And the cool thing is that, first of all, it deals a good chunk of damage on the way. So you can see, basically, I've taken quick cast off so I can show you guys the length of it. These chains here deal damage all the way on the way here. It deals a good chunk of damage, but then it actually deals almost double the damage, about double the damage after a brief moment on the intersection point of the 2 chains, meaning that if you make them interact right here, the extra damage is gonna like basically explode or implode or whatever you call it after a brief moment, which is honestly super cool. So for optimal burst, you always want to make sure that this brief damage that comes afterwards hits your target. So we'll talk more about how that works into your combo and how you actually do this. But yeah, so you can control where the intersection is by moving your cursor, of course, up and down and different directions. And yeah, it's basically, you can also make it go right on top of you. There's no point where it will never intersect. It will always intersect at a certain or at some point. So it's just choosing the direction. There's no way you can choose not to make them intersect, if that kind of makes sense. So we got a good trade in there. All right, so I'm gonna take the quick cast back on because honestly I cannot play without it. But that's kind of the length of it. And also one thing that this thing does, first of all, it deals this chunk of damage as the chains hit. You can see there, and then after the explosion, it deals almost double the damage. But it also, one thing that it also does is that it slows the target up to 35% at max rank. So it's also something you want to use to slow down your target in order to actually catch them, which is pretty cool. So let's see here if I can make this. Oh, he's running right. I am not, dude. You're running right into a control ward. All right, so I think we're gonna push this wave, and I'm gonna try and roam somewhere down to bot lane. I feel like that is a good choice. If I can get there in time, this should be a free kill, maybe even two, or not. This is a little no, wait. I just got discovered. Never mind, not gonna go for that. So yeah, another thing. Oh, we'll take that one as we get to it, because we haven't explained the E ability yet. But basically, that's everything your Q does. I'm sorry if I just said this a couple of times, but it's pretty essential that you understand why it works this way. Should just have flashed on her straight away. My bad. I'm actually doing really, really poorly. I'm sorry, guys. Yeah. So there's that. Okay, so your chains are super cool. They do a ton of damage. Next up is honestly the spell with the coolest name in the game, Kingslayer. I'm not like, honestly, that name. Who wouldn't want an ability that's called Kingslayer? It's just, it tells you you're freaking awesome. It's like awesome is almost in the freaking name. When you slay kings, it means that you're killing whatever is on top of the hierarchy. So that gotta be good. That is a good ability. No, okay, that aside, Kingslayer is also a really, really fun ability. What this thing can do is that it deals, first of all, a good chunk of damage. It also has a slight range, meaning that Sylas actually kind of jumps to his target. It's very short, the jump, but he does jump a little bit. So if you can see, if I use it here, he kind of dashes a little bit forward as you're using it. You can see the range here. But he dashes forward to his target, dealing a good chunk of damage. And if the target is oh wow, come on, if the target is or if Sylas' own health is around 40% or on 40%, then Sylas heals for the maximum amount, but otherwise he heals depending on how much missing health he has if he hits a champion. Sylas only heals when he uses this ability on a champion, not on anything else. And I think that's kind of where the name Kingslayer comes from, because it's like, it's something you use on champions. It's not something you use that much on minions. It's basically in the name. But yeah, just summing up, all it does deals a good chunk of damage and heals Sylas. And maximum healing is reached when Sylas hits 40% HP. So yeah, but he still heals even though he's higher HP, so it's always worth it. But if you know you're not going to be able to get 2 W's in there or 2 times Kingslayers throughout an engage, and you know that you are probably, it's going to be a close fight, then from time to time it might be worth to hold on to it for a moment, such that you heal even more with it. It's going to give you that more sustain. Yeah, that's just something aside. Let's see if we can do this. All right. Nope, there's 3 people there. Oh, we have Thresh, so it's 3 and 3. We don't know what their mid lane is back. I don't think this is I don't think that's a good fight. I think I might actually start looking towards top side, and I'm gonna start and try to actually focus up so we can get some kills. So I can show you guys that I'm not just all talk. But yeah, our next ability is called Abscond. I can never pronounce this. I'm gonna Abscond, I don't know. Abscond, Abduct, I think. I'm sorry if that's completely wrong in the way you pronounce it. But what this ability does is that the first time Sylas, or the first time you click it, you basically dash forward like this. You can dash to any direction, which can be used both for catching up to a target, but also for dodging skill shots from other champions, etc. It's just overall a really, really good ability. So yeah, it's super cool. As you click it the second time, then Sylas throws out his chains basically in a straight line, whichever direction you're putting it. And if he hits a target, you can also hit minions. Stay aware of that. So you kind of gotta try and maneuver around minions in order to hit your enemy champions. But in order to really, I don't know why I actually just backed here, but we just did it anyway. We'll go here. But you can also hit minions with it. But if you hit a champion, then what you're gonna do is that you're gonna basically take yourself and what do you say, like grab yourself to them. I don't know if that's the right way of phrasing it, but you grab yourself to them or leap to them, and then you actually knock them into the air. Knocking them into the air can work with things like Yasuo's what's it called? He's ult, for that matter. But that aside, Yasuo's ult is really, yeah, it's a knock-up. That's what I'm trying to say. If you knock them up, then you can interact with other spell or other things that can work with knock-ups. So, but basically just let's just summarize this ability. You click it first time, it's gonna have this small dash when you dash, and then afterwards you can click the E again to jump or to leap yourself to a target and stun that target with a knock-up. That's kind of all that thing does. Also deals a good chunk of damage, but the other two portions are the most important things. Here's a part of it that a lot of people actually are not aware. Let's see, right now we have 12.6 seconds cooldown. The cool thing that you can actually do to get or to have this ability twice in an engage, if you're in control of starting an engage, is that you can click the dash pretty early. Hold on to it, you can see when it's gonna fade away, and you can click it again just before it fades away. And the thing is, the cooldown of your E doesn't start when the chains are thrown out, they start when you dash. This means that, let's say that I want to fight this Karma, and what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna dash randomly, and I'm like, okay, well, let's take this engage. That was a terrible one. I just kind of tried to force my hand onto it. But let's say that I hit that E, then I would have the shortened cooldown on my on the E, because the cooldown started as I dashed and not as I did the stun or the leap, meaning that I'll get it back faster. This is going to be much more, you're going to notice this a lot more if you do it late in the game or late game, because that's where you're going to have a lot more cooldown reduction, meaning that you're really going to notice that you did this this E dash prematurely. But you don't want to do this always. It's a very situational thing. And whoa, this actually hurts kind of a lot. I'm gonna survive this. All right, I'm backing out. I'm backing out of that. We're almost done explaining the abilities, and then we can start actually playing the game. All right. So that is that ability. It's basically all it does, but it's a nice feature that you can do this dash and then grab somebody. It's really, really nice. And if you do the dash early, then you can get the cooldown back like earlier in the engage again, I guess, if that makes sense. So it's a way of getting some cooldown reduction prematurely if you know you can force the fight without the dash. However, pretty often you are going to need the dash in order to if you want to start an engage. Then maybe what you want to do is you want to dash to a direction. Let's do this. You really want to fight me? You really want to fight me? Yeah. All right, let's back out. Be a little careful that this Karma doesn't do some flash whoop-de-whoop-de-doo on my face. And we'll be fine. So, as you guys can see, Sylas does a lot of damage. Like, it's not like I've been doing amazing at all. I've really been doing poorly. But I feel like we're kind of getting to show some of the cool things off. All right, so our next ability, and probably what Sylas is the most known for, and the reason why I think he's a champ that's really fun. Like, he's a great champion to main, because there's always something you can learn when playing him, because it really comes down to learning not only your champ but everybody else's. Like, you can see, okay, let's say imagine somebody's fleeing away. Well, you can steal Caitlyn's ult. Well, okay, your team is in trouble. Well, let's steal Thresh's ult in order to peel off for our teammates. Like, you can do so many cool things with him that, like, oh, what? Okay. Oh, I can't steal Thresh's ult if he was on my team or on their team. Wow. Also, you can actually dash over edges. It's very useful. I think right here we're just gonna back out. Get a good chunk of damage. There's one guy in here. I could have jumped back on him. I probably should have jumped back onto Caitlyn right there. Probably should have. All right, so you can steal any champion spell. One thing you do need to, or any enemy champion spell. One thing you do need to be aware of is that the cooldown, like, you cannot just spam it on their mid laner, or well, you can in a sense. But let's say that I steal Karma's ult. Well, whenever you steal Karma's ult, then you are basically getting a cooldown on her ult, like on you. That make on her on you. you're basically getting a cooldown on that ult's champion, saying that you cannot steal that ult for double the cooldown of what that ult has. So if a Lux ult has 20 seconds cooldown and you steal that one, let's just say that, then if you steal it, then there's going to be 40 seconds before you can steal it again. So in turn, you can always steal the same champ, but you have to wait double the duration so they can cast it, double as often as you can. So yeah, it's just something you got to keep in mind, that it's not always you can steal it. You have to kind of stay aware of how, like, the cooldown on the champ, if that makes sense. So yeah, but that's kind of what your ult does. In turn, then Sylas, as I said earlier, can be really fun just because you can, in some games, you can steal, like, let's say that their ADC is super fed and they have a Malphite top. Well, you can steal the Malphite's ult and go whoop-de-doo on to their ADC's face and one-shot them with that ult, because Malphite ult full AP, yeah, do the math. That's a no-brainer for an ADC. It's not that much fun, so it's super nice. Another engage, you might miss a tank. Okay, your team has no tank, but the enemy has an Alistar. Well, steal the Alistar's ult, and yeah, you just became a tank for a brief moment. So yeah, Sylas can do just a little bit. A hair. What the? Where did that hair come from? Okay, so Sylas's ult can really allow you to adapt to the game and do really well overall. He really allows you to adapt to the situation of what is needed. Like, you can steal the freaking Urgot's ult and kill someone. You can steal Atalia's wall and block somebody off. You can do basically... There's so much potential with this champ. Actually, just gonna steal this ult just for the fun of it. Didn't get to use it, but that was fun. I don't think that was the ideal ult to take right there, but it doesn't matter. It was pretty fun. So yeah, that's overall kind of the fun thing in that. So let's talk a little bit about the combos and how you actually want to combine these spells. Well, first of all, whenever you want to initiate, use your dash. Your dash, or your E, is basically, you can use the E, first of all, if you're playing against a champion like let's say a Lux, you want to kind of hold on to the E for dodging the Lux snare, and once you dodge that, you want to use the leashes to jump into her and go all in. Like Sylas is in a large portion of the way is really good at all ins because he can do a lot of damage. He has the self healing, he has the stun, he has a little bit like he can really do a lot that way. Let's see if we can actually go in here and just catch this guy. This is gonna be fun. Don't run away, buddy. That's gonna slow him, which is gonna allow us to just catch up and maybe die. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so ideally what you want to do, let's say that you're in laning phase and you want to duel your mid laner. Well, pretty often you're going to use your E first of all to dodge a skill shot. Then you want to actually dodge that skill shot, you want to jump to that target, and then you want to pop your Q first. And you might ask me, why do you want to pop Q before W? Well, the reason for this is let's see if we can do this. The reason for this is that you want that damage from the explode, because the explode is the one that actually deals the most damage. Like it deals more damage than your W does. So if you can get this Q off, deal the damage with the chains, and it explodes before they get out of that stun, then you're gonna have a really strong start, and then follow that up with your W and your ignite. So basically it's gonna look like E dash, like you should dash, leap, Q, W, and that's basically it. And then here's kind of the plot twist. Depending on what you're playing against, you might want to use the ult before or after. It kind of depends. Let's say that you steal a... What do we have here? What would make sense? Let's say that you steal a thresh, like from the enemy team. Let's say the enemy team has a thresh. Well, let's say that you steal his ult. Well, then you of course want to pop this one like before they get to run away, such they have to run into the walls. So maybe you want to do like an EQ ult and then W, because you still have kind of a jump with the W. This is not great for us. I'm definitely dead. This is a complete and utter annihilation. Kind of awkward, but I guess it kind of shows the champion. Not in a good way right now, but that doesn't matter. Let's get ourselves this one. It seems like my team is kind of giving up. Let's try and focus up and see if we can do this. Anyway, when you're playing the laning phase, then since you're a melee champion, you want to try and hang back till level 3. In level 3, depending on where you're playing against, then you can do an all-in. Sylas has a very strong level 3 play. So a lot of champions, you can really all in. Just make sure that you're good on health and in a good state before all-inning level 3. Because if you're half HP, then you're probably going to struggle depending on what you're against. But yeah, in the laning phase, get as much farm as possible, of course. He has pretty good shoving. He can shove lanes or the waves pretty easily because of his Q. Combining it with his passive, he can actually shove lanes fairly decent, at least better than a good portion of the different other mid laners. So it's something that you do wanna stay aware of. Wow, I actually kind of forgot that I had the Urgot ult. That was a little awkward. I gotta admit that I am 100% dead here. So that's something you really kind of want to think about, is that you can shove the lanes pretty well. So since his ult is so good at adapting to the game, then try and roam, and plan ahead. So let's say that you want to go gank this bot lane. Well, what we're playing against here is not ideal for Sylas, because their ults are kind of limited. Like, all of them are pretty much damage ults. And personally, I like playing Sylas when there's some utility that I can steal, or something that really, like, it's almost at the point where Karma makes the most sense, because you get all of her spells for one spell whenever you steal it. But yeah, against this one, I'll probably go bot lane. I would say, well, I'm going to pick up the Lox ult just because I'm going to have the most damage with that one. Just going to pick the one with the most damage out of the two. But try and plan ahead. So if they had a Thresh, be like, okay, well, I'm going to go down there. I'm going to go for the... let's just make sure... Okay, I'm going to make sure that we just pod that one on him. Okay, fair enough. I did not know I was close to Karma. Okay, so this is not my proudest game, I'll say as much. It's a terrible game for me. But I guess some of it kind of gets the point across. So in the early game, you want to try and roam as much as possible. Think about, okay, well, which champions is their bot lane? What ult do I want to steal? Plan ahead. Know what your plan is. So when you go down there, you're like, okay, I'm going to steal Thresh's ult, or I'm going to steal Lox's ult. So my plan here is that I'm going to use the ult before an engage, or maybe I'm going to use the ult after the stun, or I'm going to use the ult as the gap closer. So try and kind of plan ahead. Do the same for the top lane. Sylas really, like in the laning phase, where he really exceeds is by roaming. Because as I said, the ult, you have double the cooldown on your ult if you only use it on one target. Because if you use it on Karma every time, then yeah, Karma maybe has a short cooldown on her ult. Let's say that she has 30 seconds cooldown and you steal that one. Well, then you have 1 minute every time you take it before you can get it again. And she only has 30 seconds. That's gonna put you basically, you're gonna have half as many ults. So you want to make sure that you use different ults whenever they're on cooldown, if that makes sense. So you kind of want to think, okay, well, I roam bot, I cannot steal Thresh ult. I know I cannot do this engage without the Thresh or Lox ult or whatever. Okay, so maybe I should look top side. Okay, the Urgot. The Urgot ult is really good. Well, let me go up there. I steal that ult. I'm going to see if I can get a kill on it. Otherwise, I'm going to hold on to the Urgot ult, and I'm going to use that on my mid lane. Like, honestly, you can do quite a lot with it. So this is kind of the mindset you want to have in the laning phase. As you get into the mid and late game, then your role becomes kind of different. It becomes more of a support assassin-ish role. So first of all, you want to look at your team and be like, okay, what are we missing? Can I steal it from the enemy team? Well, if you are lacking tankiness, steal the Alistar ult. If they have a fed ADC, maybe steal a Veigar ult. So kind of try to adapt to the game in that fashion and help out your team. I would say that Sylas, even though he's a mage in a sense, then he's also a support. Instantly that there shouldn't have jumped in. He's also kind of like he's a bit of everything if you play him right. And of course, I know this game is absolutely terrible for me. I'm doing a terrible job. But I feel like it does get the point across of what this champion can do. And like, I'm going to be the first to take my hand up in the air and say, like, I did play this like complete utter crap. Probably like, I don't know, like I was playing a game in Iron. But that doesn't matter. Like, the point is that the tools and the ideas and like the strategy behind him comes across, and I feel like it really does. So think about what you steal. Think about how you can use him. Be innovative with him, because like a lot of people will just go into a game, they look and they're like, okay, they have a Lux, I'm gonna steal that ult every time. That's not uncommon. It's not uncommon that I see that whenever I face a Sylas. Like, a lot of people just look at one ult, they're like, I'm gonna steal that throughout the entire game, and they're not gonna think about anything else than themselves and the number of kills they stack up. And yeah, Sylas can really beat people up. So the combos, as we talked about, generally speaking, is gonna be using your E to dodge skill shots, to start the engages, to stun your target, followed up with your Q, then follow up with your W, and your ult is gonna fit somewhere in there depending on which ult you're stealing. That's the general idea. That's the combo. There's not too much to it. And then make sure you get the auto attacks in there as well, because they do deal a good chunk of damage. But yeah, I feel like this kind of gave the primary idea of how to play Sylas. Of course, this was an absolute terrible game, but I don't really care because I feel like you can learn a lot from it. Despite that, I hope that makes sense. I hope people understand that, and I know that there are probably going to be some people in the comment section that are less happy about the performance, but I'm gonna just say it's pretty freaking hard trying to explain and trying to play well and focus on the game while keeping kind of a clear train of thought and a red, what do you say? In Danish you have something called a rød tråd, which is basically it makes no sense in English because that would be a red thread, which is like the phrase basically means that everything makes sense from start to finish, like a story, like there's an actual storyline. And I feel like this kind of did. I'm trying to focus more on the speech part of things and teaching you guys, then the gameplay, because I feel like that's more important. But I really like having this live aspect to it. So I hope you guys enjoyed that despite the terrible gameplay. Go watch some of the other videos where we have 14-0 kills, like probably the last one. Or Callista game, we went something like that. So yeah, of course, don't really think too much about the game we had here, but think about the tools that I gave you and try to practice. Like, this champion is so freaking fun. He really is, and I hope that you guys kind of just got a hint of inspiration and motivation to play this champion, because it's a champ that I like sincerely, like, I love playing it. He's fun. You're really gonna enjoy him. But that's gonna be it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you haven't already, then make sure to subscribe down underneath. Join the MipZ squad. We're a small little family at this point, but we're growing so freaking rapidly. Legitimately, we're growing with like 100 to 150 subs at the moment every day. Over the past 4 months, we've grown from basically nothing to now we're almost the 9,000 subs. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you guys. Like, my biggest dream at this point is one day reaching the 100k mark. My goal for this year was 15k, which I thought was completely absurd, but at this rate I believe we're gonna overshoot it by honestly almost double the amount. We might even hit 50k. So if you guys are not and you want to join in on this journey, and yeah, I'm gonna start live streaming in the future as well and do other games, all kinds of cool things, then make sure to smash the like button, hit the notification bell, and if you want to make sure that this video comes out to as many people as possible, make sure to smash that like button. It really does help me out, because it kind of tells YouTube to be like, yo guys, this video is pretty fun, and more people are gonna see it. We're gonna get more subs, we're gonna get more views, we're gonna get bigger, we're gonna do more stuff, gonna do cooler games, or not cooler games, League of Legends is awesome, but we're gonna do more cool games, and we're just gonna start doing live streams, yeah, sometime in the future as well, and do a little bit of everything for those of you who are not already. And then you also have the option to become a member of the channel. At the moment we have 1 member, which is freaking awesome, so thank you. I think it's called, I don't remember how to pronounce his name, so I'm not gonna destroy it here, but thank you so much for joining my channel. It really means a lot. It's supporting me financially to start, hopefully sooner rather than later, living my dream of going part or full-time YouTube. So if any of you guys have $4 to spare and want to join in, then feel free to do so. We are going to have some giveaways, both for members and for subscribers in the near future as well. I'm working all these things. I'm working on rearranging our Discord, so join Discord if you feel like it. All these plugs, I'm gonna stop it now, but yeah, just know that all these things are here. I'm working on making everything better than they already are. So yeah, if you want to be a part of the journey, make sure to join in on everything. But that is gonna be it for this video. As always, we're gonna just wrap it up here. So yeah, as always, stay awesome, have fun, and take it easy, guys.